She opened a home for the elderly, but no one ever left. In the early 1900s, old age was not necessarily a time of comfort. Families would often send their elderly members to live out their final years in poorly run, overcrowded institutions with little oversight and even less care. So when Amy Archer-Gilligan and her husband opened the Archer home for the elderly and infirm in Connecticut, it was immediately in high demand. Advertised as a dignified alternative to those cold, dark poorhouses, the Archer's home was light and airy, with comfortable common areas and private rooms for the residents. Amy was warm, attentive, and deeply religious, always ready with a kind word or prayer for her residents and their families. She told the Hartford Courant that she and her husband had opened the home because, quote, "We realized there was a great need for such an institution in this part of the country," end quote. She promised peace, comfort, a quiet place to spend your final years. What she actually delivered was a ticket to the afterlife. Over the next few years, more than 60 people died inside her care. The first to die were the residents who paid large fees for lifetime care. They came from well-to-do families, and their deaths removed a significant financial burden from their relatives. Each person who died left their money, or rather their estate, to Amy. One man named Perry Rowland changed his will just days before his death. He left everything he had to Amy, even though they weren't close, then he had no prior relationship with her husband. Another man, Charles Van Zandt, was convinced to buy arsenic for the rats in the basement. Within a week, he was dead, having drunk some lemonade that Amy had made. At first, no one questioned it. After all, they were old, weren't they? But then a new resident died. His name was Edward Wheeler. He was only 54 years old and in good health when he moved in. And just like the others, he'd chosen Amy's home over more established care facilities. And just like the others, he died quickly after arriving. That was when the local newspaper began to investigate. The town's doctor, John Thompson Minor, was the first to sound the alarm. He told the paper that he believed all of these deaths were suspicious. Many of the deceased had been exhumed for autopsies, but those reports had either been lost or never requested. The paper reached out to the medical examiner, who finally agreed to exhume one of the bodies. What they found was arsenic poisoning. Suddenly, Connecticut's Angel of Mercy looked a lot more like a Black Widow. Amy Archer-Gilligan was charged with murder. Her home was raided and a team of inspectors descended upon the property. They found a hidden cellar filled with dozens of empty jars and bottles, all of them bearing the label arsenic. Further investigation revealed that Amy had taken out numerous life insurance policies on the men who died, with the premiums paid from the residents' trust funds. There were other strange details, too. One former employee claimed that Amy kept a log of all the deaths at the home. When questioned by police, Amy admitted to giving some of the residents arsenic, but she said it was to help them die quickly and painlessly. That didn't stop her from being convicted of murder in 1917. She was sent to a psychiatric facility where she spent the rest of her life. After Amy's conviction, the public clamored for a full accounting of the lives lost at her home. But records had been meticulously destroyed, making it impossible to know the full extent of her crimes. However, historians believe that at least 50 people died under Amy's care. They were all between 62 and 68 years old, died within 2 weeks of moving into the home, and each had a life insurance policy with Amy as the beneficiary. The only thing that stopped her, it seems, was the exhumation of Edward Wheeler's body. Amy Archer-Gilligan's story became the inspiration for the dark comedy play and film Arsenic and Old Lace. In the story, 2 elderly sisters run a similar home for elderly gentlemen, only to have one of the sisters accidentally poison several of the men in her care. But behind the satire is a chilling true story. A woman who turned care into cruelty, who offered peace and provided poison, who gave them a place to rest and made sure they never left. This has been Serial Whispers. Subscribe for more softly spoken true stories. Real, haunting, and never forgotten.